What's going on? The original dad here with the short tutorial, well, maybe not so short, on how to build a quick rock base here to survive as a solo player. Alright, so let's jump into it here. So we're looking for a rock that has this passage that you can crouch under, and it has 2 rocks, but it also has 3 exits. That's the important part here, is that it has a way in under this rock right here and a way out, so that you have a front and back door. So let's get some furnaces down, create a small middle loot room here. The important part here is to make sure it's direct center. So using triangles, I'm going to start from the highest point on one side and make a quick little line across here. And we're going to go ahead and just kind of triangle that out and make sure we honeycomb it for the future. Don't worry if you can't get triangles in every little corner. So next you want to make sure that you're accounting for the downgrade, I guess the slope, in where you're building. So here we have it going down. We want to make sure we build down before we can't. And I'm just going to go ahead and knock this out so that we can make a second layer with another door, since stairs aren't the most protective. And we're just going to continue honeycombing out on one side. Ideally you want to go ahead and do like a small portion at a time. But this is really just to kind of show you what you can do. You really want to get creative with this and decide what you want to put where on your own. There's no absolute to this build, which is, in my opinion, the most fun about it. So I'm just going to kind of keep building out the foundations here in a way that I personally would do it. Again, anyone can do this how they'd like to. You know, you could have this be higher or lower, depends on your preference. And I'm not going to be doing any crazy upgrading on the foundations or anything. This is just to kind of show you how far you can go with the foundations as twig on your own. So let's get to the other side here, starting from the same thing. Start from the highest up using triangles, highest up point here that you can get, and just go ahead and build a quick straight line across here. And the biggest part here to be aware of is to make sure you're using triangles, because if you're using squares, you're not going to have much honeycombing going on at all. I mean, you're building your main loot room right here, so you need as many protective doorways and entries as possible, which squares just won't provide. So let's see if I can finish this part here. Okay, and so now we have a doorway. Make sure we can get through it. Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish some of these foundations here. Alright, so time to build the actual loot room. Throw some chests down. I know we're not going to have a whole ton of space in this example. Sometimes you'll get more space, sometimes you'll get less. It all really depends on the amount of headroom that you have within the cave base that you come across. So if you don't already know about stacking chests, the only way to do it currently is with the chests partially in the rocks. That's the most important part. As long as they're sticking out of the rock somehow, you should be able to stack them. Here's another example of how you can stack them to save a little more space, to maybe fit a little more in there, so you're not so crammed. Although, yes, this is leaning, probably not the most ideal, but this is really just an example. So let's go with it. Okay, so back to the foundations here. We got our loot room here. Let's see, we have 8 chests in one spot here. So let's go get some wood. Okay. Alright, here we go. We're back. Got a sleeping bag. Probably should put that down. Probably important to have a home where you're going to spawn at. Sometimes you get really unlucky and you can't actually put your bed down right here because of the height restriction, although I got really lucky this time. So definitely keep that in mind when you're scouting out your own rock base like this. Make sure you find one with a lot of headroom. I came across one before this and I tried to do it, and I'll admit it didn't work. So it isn't going to work every single time, but as long as you find one with enough headroom, you should be set. Alright, so I'm going to do a little bit of upgrading just to kind of show the very beginning stages as if you were surviving. And obviously you want to do this sooner than later so that you don't get raided, which is the whole point of staying safe. So yeah, you're just going to get your first walls, your first doors, everything set, obviously facing the correct way. Alright, so obviously I'm level 12 here. I've been running around for a little bit, killing animals, gathering as much as I can in order to do this. I am on a modded server just so that I can get this done a little more efficiently, but one thing I like to stress is not to even try to build a base until you're about level 7 so that you can create a sheet metal door, a code lock. Don't mess with the keys. Those are not going to keep you safe. Someone's going to get your key, gain access to your house, and then it's GG. So here we are, just going ahead and walling off the tool cupboard here. I like to put the tool cupboard as close to my loot room as possible, being that it's deepest in the cave, hoping that it'll just kind of blend into one of these triangle honeycombs and no one will ever think about it. So let's go ahead and get some wood. Okay. Alright. Here we are. We're back. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so sheet metal door goes on, and obviously this was a total mistake here. I didn't mean to do with the chest poking through the door, something I would change in the future. But, you know, this is just to show how many chests I can actually fit in here. We got to 9. So let's get the code lock on here just to kind of survive, make sure no one gets in. And let's go ahead and build some more of the first initial honeycombing just to kind of show, you know, the outward building stages. And I'm probably going to keep a lot of this twig. This is just to kind of show where doors, door frames, you know, walls, honeycombing, grab some wood, all that stuff. And so here I'm just going to kind of speed things up. Got my new hatchet. I was finally cruising. And here you can just kind of see an example of how I would build out from the beginning. And this is all just when you're in the very beginning, trying to make sure that if someone by chance gets through one door, they're going to meet another. So the next part here, we want to make sure we start building the outside and make sure we get that vertical after it's honeycombed properly. And this is going to be what essentially holds your roof up. So here we're going to go ahead and build outward as if we've already upgraded everything to this point to show how you build up. This is kind of a hard part. You have to make sure your triangles and squares kind of line up perfectly. This might not work every time exactly like this, but again, that's exactly why I like this build. It's never the same both times. You're just gonna have to kind of wing it and have fun. This is the best part about this, is you just get to be creative on your own. You're not following an exact guide. It's just how to get these base foundations up that can be really tedious. And so I'm basically just going to kind of build out a little bit just to kind of show an example of how far eventually, if you think of all this being stone, how many doors and how many different honeycombs you'd have to go through to get out and in. It becomes quite a door maze, which is something that I know keeps people out. So I've tried this base build a number of times on server populations of about 200, and it's been really, really safe. As far as comparing it to my previous experiences, I've been 10 times safer than I have been in the past, and I think it's because I'm hidden. It's partially, you know, my base doesn't stand out from a mile away. You don't see it towering above others in the middle of nowhere. There's a chance to miss it, and you could walk past and not even notice, as long as I keep it somewhat small. But I'm going to show you how, if you wanted by the end of the wipe to go big. I really hope this is a useful tool for a lot of you solo survivors out there. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'm just going to speed it up. Thanks for watching. If you really liked anything that I showed you here today, feel free to hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Find me on Twitch. Original Dad, I'm out. Thanks, guys.